All right. This meeting is being live streamed. All right. So let me make sure we all are set up. Hello and happy Friday. We are not Thursday today. We are tuning in on a Friday and it is June 10th, 2022. How are you all doing? Today we have a different topic. Well, not a different topic. I guess it leads to all of what we spoke before, but it is a topic that is something newer that I've learned. I've always felt somewhat about it, but I've always, been open to different things. And I always knew my mind was different, intuitive. My body, as a massage therapist, I knew that there's powerful things happening. And sometimes I never connected the dots of things that was happening. So, and the topic we're going to talk about today, we're not experts. We're just sharing either what we've experienced or what we've researched. But we're going to ask you to say hello first and foremost. Type live if you're watching live, replay if you're watching the replay, and let us know. We're going to talk about the spiritual journey. And we've talked about chakras, we've talked about crystals and different types of things, essential oils, colors, grounding yourself, grids with money, health, and all of the things. And a lot of us, especially myself, and I know Brianna here too, she'll share with you in a minute, have gone through different things in the last few years, and maybe throughout our whole life we didn't associate, but lately we've been noticing. So we'll both get to share stories a little bit, but how are you feeling about your spiritual journey? Are you feeling like you're being called to learn more or to teach? Are you seeing more signs? Are you receptive of them? What does it mean to you when we say the word awakening or ascension? And Brianna, why don't you introduce yourself while I tag you in the video and just make sure we're all good. And then we will get going with this wonderful meeting.
Hey, everybody. As Sonia said, my name is Brianna DeWitt. I am in Nebraska. I'm advertising it today on my shirt. Go Big Red, if we got any Nebraska fans out there. I am a mother of two. I have two businesses. I am a super busy person. I am just like the rest of you, we're just learning as I go and finding ways to make life easier. That's really what we are all after, right? Is just trying to make our lives better, improve them. And it's a different path for everybody. It happens different to everybody. Sometimes it happens faster. And that's what we are curious to hear about from everyone else is, were there some signs that you received in the very beginning? If you are somewhere in the middle of your spiritual journey, what were the signs that you received that were like, hey, you knew the universe was nudging you. You knew they were trying to get your attention. They knew that you had to do something differently. What was that for you? Do you have anything that stands out in your mind, Sonia? Like anything that nagged at you?
I have the word like feeling more at ease, and I used to be a fight or flight person. I used to like overreact to a lot of things. And I realized that I'm way more sensitive in a way, but careless in another way. I don't freak out as much about things, and I just am more mature about it. Or I've also learned to let things go, that most things we can't control but our emotions. And I put it in a little box. And some situation happened this week, and I was so proud because the old me would have like freaked out and make a big deal, probably not sleep about it. And I just said, this is what's going to happen. I put my foot down. My intentions were right. I breathed. I didn't even got upset. And I said, that is it. And it's exactly what happened. Everything went like it was supposed to. But years ago, I would have reacted differently. And then other things I think of illness. Sometimes we don't associate illness that we have, and we think the worst, but really it's your body giving you signs and chances to change things. And then when it comes back, it's like, are you going to do the same thing? Because these are signs, and they're, if you call them angels or whoever that's sending that to you. And that's what I'm thinking anyways, for you to go and get yourself, your act together, get healthier, Stop eating that junk. Go to bed earlier. Self-care yourself, or you will get sick. That's what for me was a slap in the face. And I realized that if I keep doing the same thing that I was doing, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you right now. So I could go on and on and on, but I want to hear your, what your thoughts are about that.
Well, the words that came to my head when you were saying that, something I shared not too long ago, is you have two choices: evolve or repeat. So are you going to learn from it, or are you just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again? That's your opportunity for change. And so that's exactly what happens is the universe creates, situations. We create situations for ourselves where sometimes it's just undeniable and you're like, I can't do this anymore, and illness was something for me too. My body hurt all the time. And as a result, when you don't feel good, you're not probably the jolliest, happiest person to be around either. And then that creates a whole nother element to it, and it affects personal relationships. And like you said, the ability to actually take the time to respond instead of reacting to everything. And I was a big reactor too, and I still fall into that sometimes as well, but it is powerful. You understand, or I started to understand through learning from my own mistakes and learning from other people and reading, that where your attention goes, the energy is going to flow there. So if you are putting all of your attention on how you don't feel good, it's not going to help you, it's not to belittle how you feel, and it's not to, not honor your body and the need for rest, but it's the pity party. I would always throw myself a pity party. You might as well get me one of those little hats and sit here by myself, and blow the little thing. Like, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. And you finally realize that, like, if I don't do something different, like, everything's always going to be the same. And if you think of it, it's an evolution, you're ever evolving, just like you're constantly aging, like you're evolving as a person. You're getting bigger, you're getting stronger, you're getting older. And as that goes on, you should be changing, your habits, and your mind frame should change, and the things you eat, like I laugh at those posts on Facebook and on the internet where it's like, you're too old to not be putting the onions and peppers in your food, like your body needs that.
I agree. And I think that everyone goes through this journey on a different time in their lives. And some people, it might be after a traumatic event. Some people, it could be just, it could be a good thing too. Like I was reading up on it, and some people, it was like, even through sex, like it could happen through that, or it could happen through a loss, or like just trauma, or sometimes it could just be you evolving and you being closer to nature. And like, for me last summer, I thought I was dying. Like, I don't even want to bring that up, but for 3 days I had this illness, and I was like, okay, what's going on? And I knew it wasn't normal. And I was sick and nausea and in bed, and my body was detoxing, whatever. And I would not want to listen to any music or TV. And like, the only thing I could was some frequency, just humming sound I found on YouTube. And other than that, like, I'm a cannabis smoke. I didn't even want to smoke weed. Like, and I didn't want to eat. And then I was like freaking out, but then I started reading and I found some good websites. And if you want to look for fear, you'll find fear on the internet. But if you're looking for people there's a lot of people that went through those spiritual journeys too. And I was reading more and more, and then it was like, oh, this could be this chakra, and this could be that. And then I decided to shield myself and use some of the techniques that we've talked about. And then I just said, I'm healing. But then my cravings for sugar and chocolate diminished like instantly. And I was eating half of what I was hungry for. Usually my husband was like, it's not normal, because I lost weight but I didn't crave for, and I ate crap food for a lot of my life. My parents own a convenience store. I lived near restaurants like McDonald's, Wendy's, all that crap. I've had that in my body. Didn't eat veggies until I was 20 years old. So for me, now I love veggies, and now I'm like craving for healthy foods, like right healthy food that are not GMO and all that bull crap. So I kind of felt it was meant to happen. And then I started slipping back into my old habits. And then I started feeling again like tired and this in my body. So now I listen to it because I don't want to ever go back like I felt last summer. And I went to see the doctor after, by the way. I went for blood tests and everything was fine except my B12 was too high. And she's like, your blood tests are very good. So I was like, yes, right? Because I take good care of my body, supplements, vitamins, and all the things. But then after I found a little, I have a little lump on my tongue because I have a tooth that's missing and I always keep pushing food out of it. So I bruised one of my veins on my tongue. And when I saw the nurse for my blood test, I showed her that and she made me feel like I was dying of cancer. She gave me 2 names and I know that's their job, right? But she put me, and if it would have been the old me, I probably would be sick today with a mental disease and I would have made myself sick saying that I would for months because that was back in September. And I said, no, like that's not it. So I started taking Rick Simpson oil right away because I was like, if that is really it, I'm treating myself right now with THC oil. I'm very different. Okay. So I did that for a whole month. I was high for a whole month. And until I saw a specialist and he's like, that's not cancer, dear. Like, and I've had this on my tongue for 2 years. He's like, if you would have had this on your tongue for 2 years and it would have been cancer, you would not be standing here today looking like you are with your blood test. So he's like, you go and live your life, right? So I felt so relieved, but then it made me realize so many people go through illnesses that are misdiagnosed or think it is, and they feed it to their brains. So those were 2 wake-up calls for me this year, like near-death cancer scare in a way, and then that summer, I call it my awakening. And so my body knows. And if I go back to my old habits of thinking like that and eating like that, I'm just going to go through all of that again. And right now, I actually crave for good. I crave for self-care, for love, for meaning, like relationships that are beautiful, and also the vibe that we're around. So I'm going to stop here because I'm sure that I brought up some things you want to touch up on. But that was just one of my many experiences that I got to experience that were kind of like my most intense ones. So
I remember that one when you told me about your tongue, and it can, and is very scary when you don't know. And I've had similar situations where I found a spot or something like that. And like I said, if you feed that, and
right.
so even if it turns out to be something not, good, whatever, you have the ability then to, I guess my mind has switched, fortunately for me, to problem equals solution. And no, there's no like actual solution or cure for cancer per se, but you get what I'm saying. Like learning to accept things for what they are, and not feeding into the fear, because you said it yourself, that lady, you know that it could have been from your tooth, but that lady is the one that put that in your head. And so there was something that I put down on my list. I have a list of 21 things. It was 20 and then I added one at the bottom, and this is the one that I'm actually going to bring up right now. Is in whatever direction that you move confidently. Right? That lady was moving confidently, and she, her message was received and it was believed. And so just being confident really, makes a big difference in anything that you do. If you're going to do it, you need to commit to it. And, kind of a weird tie to that, but it just goes to show that confidence, it really takes over. And if someone's confident, you tend to believe them. And so I want to tell a specific story here. Well, I wrote down my list of 20 things, and I'm like, okay, so what actually led me here? And like I asked of people that are watching, which I don't know if anyone has replied or not. I'm on my phone and I'm stuck in Zoom land. So like where did I find myself undeniably knowing that I was starting to raise my vibration, my frequency, where I was starting to change, where things were actually going to take a turn? Where did I get my confidence in the universe? When did I finally start trusting that there was something out there that knew more than me, right? And so you can say that's God or a God of your understanding. There's plenty of gods out there, but I like to refer to just the universe that we live in and everything that it contains, you know, it just the powerful energy. And so I want to say that I started my transition to a spiritual awakening and on a spiritual journey very slowly. I had crystals when I was in high school. I read about astrology. I did the things. I collected the books. You know, I didn't read them because I wasn't ready for it, but I had them and they interested me. And then it was 2015, my dad passed away. And I had to hit that like severe depression to actually be like, whoa, I can't live like this anymore. Like I was creating most of my own pain, like looking back in hindsight, when just bottling up emotions, like when you feel that pain in your shoulders, like it very much is because you're holding emotion there. Your stomach, I was always throwing up. I was always have a stomach ache and just not feeling good. And I'd find any excuse to, you know, justify that too. Yes. And so push came to shove and I just realized I became a miserable person. And I had I was pregnant at the time and I had a 2-year-old. So if anyone's been pregnant and has a toddler that is just absolutely tearing shit up, like that in and of itself is challenging. So I found out I was pregnant in the same week that my dad passed away. Wow. So it was just like bang, bang, bang. And we were planning a wedding. So it was just this like trifecta of just holy shit. But what are you going to do? Like your life has to keep moving. It has to keep going. Like it's going to keep going. Like that's something that I read in a book a while ago. Like this guy found out that he had cancer and he went to his first appointment and he looked around and saw that like the world was still turning. The birds were still chirping. People were still going to work and life was still going on the way it was going to keep going, whether he wanted to participate or if he wanted to, you know, look at everything in bitterness or not. The world's going to keep spinning. And so it did. And I got to a point where I was just so depressed and started gaining weight. So I was depressed about that. And I just knew something had to change. And I started seeking out spiritual teachers, spiritual, like card readers or energy healers, just anything. Like I knew that the next dimension, I was going to have to utilize some skills that I didn't have on my own and trust, you know, to get some messages from some people that were more connected and grounded than me. And that's when I learned the EFT tapping and had just a crazy ass emotional release. I kind of felt bad for the lady because I was just like, you could tell she was not expecting me to just like crumble and like dissolve while we were doing all that, but it was necessary. And she helped me out. And then I contacted a spiritual teacher that I had been in contact with like a few years ago or a few years prior to that. We're talking like 2020. And I had just gotten a reading from her, asked her about my dad and my career and nothing about me, you know? And I contacted her. I found her card in like a book or something and just went out on a limb. I didn't even have the money really to be like, you know, psychics are pretty expensive for the most part. It's like $150 an hour typically. But I did it, and she led me to where I am now. Just lit a fire under my ass. We did healings one-on-one. And this is what popped into my mind when I was like, I need to show everybody this. And I couldn't remember exactly what the words were because it's been a few years now. I think we're going on like 2.5 years since this happened. But I had done my first energy healing session with this lady, and it was like Christmas Eve. And she even warned me too, about like, you might feel like shit after this. Like, do you really want to do this like at Christmas time?
Right.
Like, because that energy has to come out somewhere. And I was just desperate, and I was ready to change as much as I could, as quickly as I could. I did a session with her, and we went to go look at Christmas lights on Christmas Eve. And we get the kids in the car and are getting ready to back out. I'm like, there's something behind the car. I get out, and this was at our driveway. What? It says, hello to healing.
Wow.
And then underneath it says, hello, human kindness. And if you see, it says CHI Health on it. There is a clinic, and I looked it up. It's 2.2 miles from our house.
Okay.
How did this get at our driveway at the perfect time? I mean, so that's when I was like, this is undeniable. Like I there's no explanation other than like alignment, and the universe is hearing my call. They know that I want to start healing. It just, I mean, if there's a story for you, like, there you go. That sign is huge.
It couldn't be a bigger sign, right? It's right in, like, almost hit you in the face pretty much. So that is awesome. I love those signs. I love it. Have you guys that are watching, have you seen some signs lately that were so obvious? Because I know I've missed a lot my whole life, and I just want to say I'm just seeing comments. And hi everyone, thank you for being here today. Hey Steph, we've got Tony. Tony says she's been there, achy feeling. She realized like life goes on even when her world was crumbling. Cindy says hi, and then hi Kaylee. I hope I pronounced your name right. Evan Bright always have free readings, usually sponsored by libraries. They're amazing. So I think that's pretty awesome, and always happening for a reason. Hey Michelle. Hey Mathieu. And then Tony's like, yeah, here's your sign. Definitely. So thank you for showing up here, and let us know, because it can be different for everyone, and some people might be going through this right now and they might not even know. So send them this, whether you tag them or you send them privately, because I know I wish I would have learned. And always go and seek advice. I don't go and not see your doctor. I went to see my doctor when I was going through the things just to rule out, right? But I knew it was going to be okay. But just to say, because some people, they stress, and then if you're a little hypochondriac or you just Google things, then you might end up thinking you're going to die in 2 days. So don't do that.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier just to go to the doctor, get it started. I mean, I have had plenty of testing done. And when, if that is what's going to ease your mind,
right,
do it if you have the resources, and always trust your intuition. That's something that I still struggle with to this day, or I'm still working on, to put that in a positive way. Your intuition's there. I mean, like, it's there for a reason. And I was one of those people that was like, I was always kicking myself in the ass. I'm like, I knew that was going to happen. Why did I put that there? I knew it was going to spill, and of course spills all over the floor. So it's like, trust your intuition. It can be a huge shove. It can be a little nudge. You can, just the tiniest thing. Trust yourself. And I feel like that's where a lot of people can use the inspiration and know that, like, the answer doesn't have to lie outside of you. When you're talking about, like, what what do things mean? Where is my life going? What should I do? It can be as simple as, like I said, don't set that on the counter without a lid and not, like, and have that cross your mind. It's probably gonna spill. Like, and I've been doing all sorts of like testing my intuition because I still don't even believe it. Everyone's like, Brianna, you're psychic. And I'm like, me? What? I don't know. Like, it's the label of it all that really, like you get into that. But like, intuitive is something that we all have the potential to be, because you do hear, see, feel things, whether it's angel numbers and things like that, or just that voice in your head.
I agree. And that voice in your head too, don't always believe it too, because sometimes there's subconscious and conscious thinking, and you might be listening to an old version of yourself, or it might be something in your brain trying to trigger you, and don't always believe it. So I have some negative thoughts every day, but I counter them with some positive thoughts, because a positive thought is way better. And if I'm having a hard time, I will look in my mirror and try to smile and try to fake it until your body hears about it and kind of feels it, because you can bring yourself to that state of mind anywhere. And I've been trying it with my kids lately because it's been intense. The last week's energy, the last 2 weeks with the moon and all of that and the eclipse, I don't know if your kids are like that, but my toddler has been super sensitive and super just everything. And it's just been like, whoo, but I had to ground myself more, and I use these tools. And now, like, I tell them, mommy doesn't want to, get to a place where I get too intense. So let's now just try to relax, right? And I think them seeing me go through all of these things also, I'm very open about it. My husband thinks I'm like some weird witch or whatever. He's like, oh, you're going through these again, right? Like, he doesn't even know what it is, but he knows. And he prioritized my self-care. When I say, like, I'm not sure what to do, why don't you take a bath? Why don't you do your thing, and then I'll come, because we have a 2-place living arrangement. Let's just call it, we have the camp and then this place. So we have the chance to be separated. So, because we're 24/7 with both our kids, we homeschool, and we don't have any resources like grandparents, like they're 3 hours away. So we're the 4 of us for almost 3 years now. So when I go through these, my family kind of knows, and I love that I have the place. But if you do not have the extra house, or like if you're just needing that rest, and try to communicate with them and let them know they don't need to understand everything either. But for you to have support within your family, and I try to communicate a little bit, but now they know when the moons are coming and different things. And my husband was the one trying to fix everything before, and I'm like, I don't need you to fix anything. I just need you to be there and supportive. And if some days you see my energy got low, and I'm an empath too, and I know a lot of you are, so sometimes you feel other people's energy, it's not even yours, and you're like drained or stressed out of your mind. And like yesterday and the day before, I was feeling something, and I'm like, this is not mine. This is definitely not mine, and I want it out of my body. And then I heard something happening. I'm like, oh, that's what I was feeling. I was feeling hurt, right? And then it went away. So I know I changed topics like 3 times, but I just felt to share all.
It all flows together, though. I mean, like, it's all under one big happy umbrella, right?
It is.
I watched a card reader last night, actually, and I always laugh about card readings, because I always say I always get my ass handed to me, or like, they're just, you use Oracle or Tarot. Sometimes Tarot's more direct and Oracle's nicer. Well, of course, it was an Oracle card that just called me out on a live in front of everybody. Like, everyone else's cards were all fluffy and great. And then she's like, yeah, yours is upside down, and this means this. And just don't engage. That's what I can tell you. And I was just like, I've been having to remind myself of that. And like, she sensed the chaos that had been going on in my life and the struggle. I haven't been feeling very well. We have some sort of illness being passed around, in our house right now. And she sensed that, and she just told me, like, there's, within all the chaos, like, just don't engage. And
Right.
that's something that I have to remind myself of that all the time, because it's so easy just to slip back in and be like, but I just want to say this.
Yep.
I just want to be petty for a minute, you know, like it doesn't pay off. It doesn't. It all comes back to you. And it sucks because, but like sometimes you need those reminders. And this is on my list too. Number 13, spiritual growth is humbling.
Well,
Would
that's my
you
favorite
say
number too. I love that. Humbling. Yes.
very humbling, you know, like you can get mad or you can take the constructive criticism
Right.
and realize that you have the room to grow, you know. And I used to get pissed off all the time. And the first one that I have on my list is that people project. So it has nothing to do with you. And that has so many levels to it. I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but once I learned that the way people treat me is a projection, like they're projecting their inner feelings about themselves and their life onto me. And so ultimately at the end of the day, why am I going to take offense to that and be upset? Because it's like, it's a mirror of,
It is.
I started treating people a lot better when I was happier. Yes. I mean, it's hard. Like I said, it's humbling, you know, to sit here and tell you that like, I used to not be the nicest person in the world because I was projecting my shit out onto everybody else instead of cleaning it up, instead of owning it, accepting it. Right? Yeah. Like here, you take some of this shit, you know, it's easy to do that. And to grow is hard. It is hard. Like it really
is. One of my friends, she's a Reiki in French here locally, and she taught us on a live to send the flower to someone. So when they're mean to you, they're nasty, think of a bouquet of flower you're giving to them. And she's always sending flowers, and I love flowers. So I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. So whatever color you want to send to them. And when somebody's pissed off at me, and I do that with my 12-year-old, he hates it, but I just smile and I radiate love to him. And I'm like, I'm covering you with love right now. And like he removes himself from my bubble and he goes into his energy vampire room or whatever it is. But you know, like I just want to radiate that. And if that pushes you away from me right now, well, that's great.
Exactly.
Because I don't have time and I don't want that negative energy because I am dealing with mine. So learn to deal with yours and then come to see me when you are calmed down. And I love that I'm like that, because usually I would have get really upset and I get like put a wall. And if you come to me negative now, it's like I'm allergic to it and I don't know how to react and I'm going to ignore it because I don't want any of that. But now I can just, it's not my problem. You're not coming at me. You're coming to me with your things. And it's a projection of you, has nothing to do with me. And I'm in business. I work with hundreds and thousands of people. And I always felt things like, oh, if they fail, it's because of me. And like, I had to realize that no, if they fail, it's because of them. And I can only give them my resources, my love, and my time, which is so valuable. And then I can only help someone so much. And now people that gets my time are the ones that are, you know, coming to me in a different way. And I used to be like that too. And whether it was to my parents, to business people, or my husband, I used to complain first without a solution. Now you want to bring a solution if you're going to complain. Like that's, you know, and I mean, it sounds mean, but it is true. There's any that asked a question, any recommendation of mediums out there? There's so many amazing to connect with through reading. So do you have anyone to recommend, Brianna? And I'm not sure if anyone's in Canada or US, but we can put a few recommendations in the comments after this live. If you
I know 2 people personally that I can recommend to you, and you can look at their pages and they do have a little bit of a different style and you can get a feel for them and you can kind of decide from there. That's what I like to do, is I like to maybe listen to a live or find them on TikTok where they have expressed themselves. And you're not going to click with everybody, you know, but I feel like between the 2 of them that you could probably find someone to connect with. So I'll make sure that I put that in the comments after. I don't have a pen to write it down, but
awesome.
Were there any other questions or comments you wanted to? Yeah.
Hey Raylan, I see Tony says, totally get owning my own crap. Finally at that peaceful state of mind and comfortable deflecting negativity. So I love that, Tony, and I know that you've been through a lot. So
Yes, definitely.
and Matthew said, old expression, kill them with kindness. And yes, right? Like that's
It's true.
have to
Because
right now.
you explained it well that it will repel them. If you have a positive, you're radiating positivity, they're like, oh my God, you're making me sick.
Yeah.
Like I was that person at, you know, and maybe it's true. So go somewhere else. Like if you don't like it, go have your own energy bubble. Don't cloud mine up. And that's the thing too about being an empath, and something, I don't know, I'm a quote person. I don't like to be cheesy about it, but like if I can put a thought into a couple words, has more of an impact for me. Empathy without boundaries is self-destruction.
Yes.
So you're just constantly just giving yourself up for everybody and then leaving yourself with nothing and just bogged down with energy, and you don't even, like, I would do it to I would worry myself sick about my family.
Right.
And I've gotten to the point where like, and that was a big shift for me too, is like I had to let go of that. And that was something else I put on here. Loosen your grip on life. Like me tightening my grip and worrying about everybody wasn't going to make them change. It wasn't going to change their behavior. It wasn't going to change the outcome. It was just going to stress the shit out of me and leave me feeling like shit when they're out there doing whatever the hell they want. You know, you can only help somebody so much, and someone who wants to be helped. And I would constantly be that empath that was just destroying myself without even realizing it until afterwards, until I, you know, felt like I couldn't operate the next day. And when you can actually put those together, like that's when you can start making the progress. Like sometimes you do have to go through it to actually learn the lesson, you know, and I'm one of those people. Like it's the way I grew up. I didn't have a lot of role models, or really any role models, to teach me a whole lot. And so I was just touching the fire, and if I got burned, hopefully not touching it again, you know, evolve or repeat. And it took me quite a while to get past just my own self-destruction because I wasn't protecting myself.
Yes. And sometimes we destruct ourselves with food, with drugs, with alcohol, with sex, with dating, with like hurting, with different things. So be sure that you are good to yourself. And I know we talked about us being empath, and I said, don't come to me if you're negative. I have a good side of me too, that if you are at your place that you need a friend to listen, I'm not going to shut you out. I'm going to give you a resource or solution. But if next month you come back and, you know, month after month and it's the same thing, then that's a different story. So I wanted to bring, just to make sure I clarify that so people don't think, oh, I have an issue and I can't message Shania because it's negative. That's not what I meant. I just meant, because there's some people, you know, I'm 38 years old, and there's some people, all I can remember since I know them since my young days is they're always in pain, they're always depressed, they're always on pills, they're always talking about the rain that's on the way, and it's just depressing. And it's like, man, like you have not changed a single bit. And like, well, if you know it's gonna rain, well, you know, go somewhere it won't, or like
grab an umbrella.
Exactly, go jump in the puddle, or like, I don't know, like just there's always something to complain. And I think the generation that my grandparents and parents were in, now I see things changing. So hopefully that we are raising kids that are all about, you know, health and happy, and like seeing the bugs and the butterflies in a nice color, and like not the shit snow that's coming here. Like if you don't like snow in Canada, well, you can move, you're not a tree. Like, and it's just, for me, it got draining. And that's why we moved in nature. We haven't really socialized with people other than a few people that are just like us. And because I shared my truth, you guys know I lost my Facebook of 11 years. So I was like, shh, I was shut up. And there's some things that I'm still hesitant to talk about and share about because I wanted to help and save everyone. But that big slap in the face was, Sonia, not everyone wants to be saved right now. and not by you. So all you got to do is keep sharing your story, and it's going to help one person at a time at the right timing. But don't try so hard to try others that don't even care to help themselves right now. Because I could see potential in so many people, or I could feel they wanted change, but they didn't want it enough. So I wanted it more for them. So
Right.
whether it was my family trying to get them off the pharma, train, or trying to get them to understand, like, this is how we see life right now. Please do your research and that. And I almost, like, I'm sure my awakenings and that had to do with stop trying to wake people up when they want to sleep. So, and yeah, I wanted to bring that up because I know I have a lot of friends right now that have been trying to wake people, or, get your health in check. I don't want you to die next year because of diabetes or whatever. And like, like, maybe you should look at the ingredients that you put in your food, and, all the things that you take every morning that your doctor told you to take, that it's been 20 years, man, like, you should feel better by now. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, and really, I feel like what I heard while you were saying all that was that you become the target. You become the target for that misery when you put your neck out there and you try to save someone who could give a shit less. If they don't care about themselves, it really, it does suck to feel like you care more about someone, but they will reach. I was probably that person to someone at one point in time. Like, is she ever going to stop complaining? I was probably that person to someone, and now I'm the reverse. Like, you don't have to be the same. There's no rules. You can change whatever the hell you want, whenever the hell you want, and be who you want to be. One of the things on this list, I know we're getting to an hour, but perfectionism is a spirit killer. Real is better. Real is relatable, and it helps build the trust and find people who appreciate you for who you really are. So if you're putting out there, you're not being yourself, you're attracting the wrong people to you. And then you wonder why you feel alone in a room full of people. You know how they say that? Like, I got all these friends, but nobody understands me. I don't feel respected. Well, if you're not putting yourself out there for who you really are and what you stand for, you're going to attract the wrong people. And I realized that, and I had to let a lot of people go, because when I changed, I didn't want to be around those same people. And, it sounds harsh. Some of it sounds harsh, but it is harsh. Like, it's not meant to be something that's just like, hey, you woke up now, everything's great, like,
perfect. No, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna feel like a gut punch
all the time. Yeah,
you're gonna have to let go of people, things, situations.
Perfectionism.
Yes, definitely. I agree.
And you have to be uncomfortable before you decide to move. Like, if you never were made uncomfortable, if we didn't spend days and accumulate weeks in bed feeling like crap, what would it take? What would have, been the motive to change?
I also want to say, being real, I love you said that, because we're sitting here in t-shirts, and like, I have my baby hair all over, just a ponytail, very quickly done, no makeup. I had this shirt 8 years ago. This is my first shirt that I've earned with the company that I've been with. And I want to say, when I started, I was trying to be someone else. I was trying to dress up more professional than I was. I was pretending to be a professional leader. And I realized that I attracted some fake people. And now I see people in the industry or anything, and they hype it up or they exaggerate. And I'm like, oh my God, because they attract people to them, and then they start becoming better and working on themselves. And then they realize the people that they're helping or working with are not the ones, they're not comfortable with them anymore. And I had a wake up call too, because I'm like, I'm not enjoying this. Like, the people that I attracted before and where I'm at in life, it wasn't. And I did the same for my massage therapy clinic. When I had that, I attracted a bunch of illness and in pain. Of course, massage therapists, you're going to have pain, but I attracted clients that made me uncomfortable, that needed healing, and lots of mental issues that I had to deal with. Because you're a therapist, when you're a massage therapist, like, it's like a hairdresser, you hear everyone's problems. And I got to burn myself out because it was just too much. But when I started realizing that what I do now, and it's been 3 to 4 years now, I am open about who I really am. And I've been attracting the most amazing people, and not just me, but the people I work with. So the last 2, 3 months, this whole year has been a fresh, like breath of fresh air. I get to work with people like you that I would actually hang out with. I mean, me and Brianna, we hang out on Zoom, and we'll hang out face to face when we can, when I can leave my country, which will be very soon, manifesting all of that. But it's just, I won't have to pretend I'm someone else when we get to meet face to face. And she won't be like, who the heck is that girl? Like I see on Facebook, she doesn't look like that. She's going to see the exact same me, maybe a little bit more calm and more, relaxed and that, because I keep working on myself. More fun, because we'll be excited, but it will be the same me. And I will appreciate her because I attracted her the best version of myself. And I keep growing and she keeps growing. And there's not just me and Brianna. I've attracted a lot of business people that are now friends, and now even friends that I'm not even business partners with. So thank you to the internet, because
and all the people in the comments and the people that show up and listen to us and find value and add value, like irreplaceable. You can have all sorts of people and not connect with them, and it's not worth it. The quantity doesn't matter. Like I realized, here's a testament. I wrote on my status that I had 555 friends because I am a big angel number person. Yeah. And I said, I'm currently not accepting more friends. It was just a joke. And that came up on my memories as 1 year ago. I have 300 friends now. Like wow. That's a lot of people gone. Right. Those were people that it was just like, I mean, and not anything personal, but like, it just not vibing, like I got to make room for the people that are still coming and the people that, want to grow and care about. You don't have to care about crystals, that'd be cool if you did, but like just being yourself. I agree. Just knowing, like being around people that are not so pressed on what other people think about them. And I know it's a hard thing to get over. It so is. And I'm like not even completely over it myself, but like you really have to pay attention to who you surround yourself with, because they are an extension of your energy. You are getting their energy. There might be vamping, like being a vampire and stealing your energy. It is a true thing. It's a real thing, and you just got to be careful who you let in your circle. You don't want to be paranoid, like I'm not saying that, but like
I was like that for a while because we moved in a new place. We're homeschooling parents now. We've got no friends. We're the French family in an English community, which is very religious. There's a lot of long skirts and buns here. And I have nothing against any religion, but it's so different. Here I am with my shorts and my hair up and down and like just, and I'm like, this is not my place. But at the same time, I'm like, we need to find friends. But then I'm like, not just any friends. And now we found business owners, we found farms, people that are resourceful. Like I'm even like thinking community wise lately, and even to hang out with kids, which I know one of the girls that was watching earlier, I'm not sure if she's still on, Kaylee, she's a homeschooling mom. I've learned a lot from her and her group. And they meet, too bad we're not too close, but I'm sure we're going to meet this summer somewhere in New Brunswick. But they create that and they have their whole little community. It could be a big community. I've never met them yet, but we're online. And I appreciate that. And I think, and I know it's the universe that, made us meet. So I am grateful and blessed. And I had about 15,000 followers with 2 of my accounts. And when they got wiped off, I started at 0. So I have 600 something friends right now here. And I decided to shift because I'm bilingual. I'm going to be switching to French, and I'm going to go and grow TikTok and Instagram in French and also English eventually. But I have a new project going on because I've been very limited with what I can say here and censored. I'm surprised there's 8 people watching right now. So Facebook's being nice today. I think that's great because usually I was live for 7 minutes last week and they weren't showing it to anyone. So censored much? Yes. But I think that everything does happen for a reason. And I've never in my life felt so good about the people that I get to hang out with, I get to work with, I get to brainstorm with, have fun. And I can't even wait till we meet face to face. The energy is going to be insane. And then wait till like we do those retreats and like I'm seeing Costa Rica and I'm like looking at rivers and different places and like just doing all the healing together. And we have 5 minutes left before we're on the hour, girls. So any last closing things on your list? I know you had and I like how documented you are, and I'm just like
it's just how, I mean it's I have to work to like I cut it short and then I'm like, you know, because I always ask Sonia, I'm like, so what are we, you know, like I need something to go off of, but like I said, I have to, it's to organize my thoughts and I want to make sure I share the most valuable things with you guys. Otherwise I could just like ramble and not realize that
I ramble.
no, I don't, at least I follow along. A few things I just want to touch on. I learned being different is good. Growing up, it was hard to be different. Unless someone actually told you being different is good. I really instill that into my children and make them realize that and then the other one is everything's not that serious. I finally had that switch, like everything's not that serious.
It's not that big of a problem, right?
It's not. It's as big of a problem as you make it. I mean, there are some exceptions, obviously. There's extreme circumstances.
Right? If it won't bug you in 5 minutes for me or won't matter in 5 years from now, why would you give it more than 5 minutes? And I apply that and it works.
It does. And finding a solution and being like, okay, so what am I trying to do here? Am I trying to solve a problem or I just trying to blow off steam and be pissed off? You know, like, do you want to solve the problem or not? When
you said blow off steam. I yelled this week. So just to let you know, I yelled. And it was a song. And it was a song about letting it out. And I was singing and dancing and yelling and I want to scream and shout and let it all out. The Britney Spears song. Okay. I put that on repeat for like 4 times. And I was like doing my cardio, dancing around. And I yelled that energy because I wanted to tell everyone to fuck off. Like I was just seriously, I'm like, I was in that mood and we all get into those moods. And I told my husband, I need to dance it out and yell it out. And I have tears and he's okay now, but years ago, I'm sure he's like, what did I marry? And then it was okay. And then it's like the rainbow and the sun's coming out and the butterflies and Sonia's all like, so maybe you need to yell it out or dance it out. Sorry, I cut you out. But
you need a healthy outlet. And I tell people that, I mean, I won't put any names out there, but I recommend a healthy outlet for your energy because you did that. It harmed nobody, helped you. And then you didn't have wreckage to clean up afterwards because you told everybody to fuck off when you were in a bad mood.
Exactly.
You have to stand out and stand up to make a difference. You have to define your goals. And an example that I got taught that really stood out to me is how, like, if you go to a restaurant, you sit down, you tell them exactly what you want. That's how you get what you want. If you sat down at the restaurant and you said, I don't know what I want, bring me whatever you want. When they bring you your least favorite food, can you really be that upset? Like, if you don't know what you want, you're probably not, if you can't define it, you're not going to be able to achieve it. So define those goals. As silly or weird as people, you know, it seems at first to actually write things down. You have to actually do it. Write it down. Keep it simple.
Let's do a menu of our goals with our kids. I just had that pop up. I think that's, well, I don't think I'm going to do it with my kids. Let's have a menu on a construction paper sheet and let's write down some goals and just play restaurant, right? Like, just because kids, we need to use some playtime sometimes too. So
my kids would love that. They're right at that age. I found Everly wrote her own book.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, she like got the pages, stapled them, and wrote a story about herself. And she, even in that story, I'm so proud of her. She said, I have a lot of friends, or she was writing about herself in the third person. Yeah. But the next page said, some were not real. And I immediately went to like imaginary friends. No, she was talking about like at 6.5 years old, having friends that are not real.
Crazy.
because she understands that
Fakeness.
on here I also have, not everybody has your best interest in mind. That's a hard pill to swallow. And if you can swallow that a lot sooner rather than later,
Right.
you know, the next page was, but she loved her life.
Oh,
I was just like, oh my God.
that's
Like,
amazing. 6 years
right?
old. Way to go,
Even
girl.
with the negative, even accepting that not everything, that everyone is, you know, not your real friend or has your best interest in mind, you can still love your life anyways and be who you want to be. There's just one more. I know we're right at 12. I don't know if anyone knows who George Carlin is, but I feel like this is a good note to leave it on. Do you know who George Carlin is? He was an American comedian and he has passed away, but one of his quotes that I really like and was kind of a light bulb early on for me was, trying to be happy by accumulating possessions is like trying to satisfy your hunger by taping sandwiches all over your body.
Yes.
So you have to actually make the change, consume the material, like those books I was saying that I had that had dust on them. Like, I'm not gonna learn and change and grow if I don't actually consume it. Like, if I'm just have the crystals and don't work with the crystals, have the books, don't read the books, you're not going to change. You're not going to be happy. You're not going to satisfy yourself just by accumulating things.
Right. I agree. And I know we could keep going on and on and on. And I was just checking here in the comments. We still have people here with us commenting, and I didn't get to all the comments. So we will go after. Brianna always goes back after and replies to everyone. I appreciate you for doing that. And if you have any questions regarding anything we mentioned, I know we talked about putting the readings, the suggestions, and then also do some self-care, drink some water. There is a full moon coming up next week. If you have any topic you want us to cover, let us know. If you have some that you would like to hear again or ask if we went over, because some of you are just coming on for the first time. We did so many different topics. I actually think it's time for us to make a list and list out all the topics we did and almost make like a little course, not a course, it's free, of course. But I feel a lot of people right now that are where we were years ago, if they would hear this, they would relate and they could have a way better journey. And then they could maybe share their story too, because oftentimes you don't feel like sharing because you think you're doing it alone, but then you share it and people are like, oh, I went through that, or I know someone who's going through that right now. So anyone that is not feeling normal and maybe more sensitive, and since I said sensitive, one thing I noticed that's positive after is you're more sensitive, but you're also more, you can do more faster. I feel like I am superwoman after I have 2-3 days of ground myself and okay, what am I going through? But after that, it's like you can become, when people come over at your house and you clean for 15 minutes right before they come, you know how much you get shit done? Well, that's the kind of feeling I have now. And I feel like I can just get a lot more done. So whether it's community goals I have or gardening or mom or business stuff, it's I'm way more clear too. So you need to go through that fog sometimes to let the brain be able to see clearer. And yeah, so I know that we are over the time and we could continue this, but I do appreciate you for being here and for us for sharing that, because some people may think some people don't like this type of talk, and it's okay. I understand. It's I was uncomfortable for years about the Jesus talk because I didn't understand. And when somebody would pray or do a prayer or send me something, or I was I don't understand it. I don't know it. And I wasn't ready to learn anything about that. One day I will. And some people are like that about spiritual and holistic and different things too. So whenever it's your time, don't force it, but you might have some spiritual journey knocking on your door. And I want to give a big shout out to Dawn, because Dawn has been a mentor of mine too. She's another business partner of mine. And when I was just starting to open up, she started talking about energy. She's the one that opened me up more. And I realized I needed a mentor. So some of you may need mentors where you're at. And mentors could be a friend.
Me to you.
Exactly. So all happens for a reason, and we're all connected some way. They say, what is it? We're all connected to, there's a certain amount of people, like a few hundred people all around the world, and like we're somehow connected. I think it's 6 people that connects us. It's something like that. And then energy wise, universe wise, you know, when you think you're healing the world and you're helping and this, you really are. If you truly believe it, you are. And you're vibrating and you're opening up doors and letting other people who are vibrating just like you, finding that vibration. And you'll find a card somewhere with their name on it. You'll see an ad. You'll meet that person in the grocery store. And if you're open and seeing all the signs, it could be wonderful for both of
Absolutely.
you. Yeah, I had shivers saying that. So thank you so much for spending time with us today on this wonderful High Frequency Friday. Wishing you all an amazing weekend. Brianna, I appreciate you for being my partner in crime for this. I love it. And hopefully that people are enjoying it. We will see you on next week. We're back for, next week we're back. The week after, I'm going to be on the road. We're taking a few road trips here and there, day trips. So I'm going to be driving. But we'll talk about that. But next week, we should be back on Thursday at noon Eastern time. And you can always catch the replay if you cannot make it live with us. All right. Then we are done for today. Have yourselves a great Friday. We'll see you next time.